Welcome to Graham Jones Ministries. Hey, I want to let you know about a new video and audio course that I have online. I'll be releasing this in the month of November. I have a 16-part video course on the subject of Revelation. Now, this doesn't actually talk about the book of Revelation, but rather receiving revelation from God. It's really this, that so often we walk with God and we think we believe things that we've read, we've heard teaching on, and yet we find ourselves in a place where they don't actually work for us when we need them to work. I think many of you and I have been in that place where we thought we believed God for healing, and then we got sick, and then we find out what we really believe. And I've been in many places in my life where I've found I have information but not revelation. And what this course will do, it teaches us how to develop a lifestyle that attracts revelation. It will teach us to recognize the areas of our life where we lack revelation. It'll teach us how to turn information into what I call inside information, into truth that's written upon the heart. I believe God wants good teaching and good doctrine, but more than that, God's plan for your life and mine is that we would literally become living epistles read of all men. Paul said God is writing with the finger of his Spirit on the tablets of your heart. And I believe that when God puts truth on our hearts, it's easy to have faith. Suddenly, the things that we tried to believe for, they work really, really easily. So there is a 16 video course. Again, we have PDFs and teaching notes, meditations, confessions, different things, a lot of material there. I have this on offer for half price for the month of November. Each day I'm going to be releasing some video snippets. There should be one following this message. So I encourage you to check those out. Let me know if you're interested in doing that. If the finance is a problem, drop me a line and we will help you with that. Welcome to lesson 5 in the Revelation course. I pray this is I just pray that God will give you that spirit of wisdom and revelation, that as we go through these things together, that revelation will be exploding within your heart, because I know that's God's will, God's plan, and God's purpose for you. Good. Hey, in today's lesson, we're going to cover just one of the most fundamental teachings, one of the base foundational teachings about Revelation from Matthew, I believe it's Matthew chapter 16, and there is so much in this teaching. I think somewhere else I have about 4 hours of teaching on this one passage, and it really is important. So I'm going to read in a moment in Matthew 16 from verse 13, but let me begin with this. It's an interesting thing, but Jesus loved to ask questions. Have you noticed that? Let me say that again. Jesus loved to ask questions. Jesus still loves to ask questions. Many times people would come to Jesus with a question, and Jesus would respond to them with a question. Sometimes we come to God looking for answers, and that's not wrong to do. But a great prayer to pray is, Lord, give me questions rather than give me answers. Have you ever thought about that? What about praying, Lord, give me the questions that you are asking me right now. Give me questions to think about rather than give me pat answers. I've learned that in life, and I'm sure many of you have. I've learned that, salesmen talk about that. And I know as a pastor, I can give somebody the answer, but sometimes it will just bounce over their head. And I'd rather ask them questions that will lead them into thinking about the answers. And I think there's something connected here with Revelation again, where if we can find the right questions, it won't necessarily provoke an answer. Sometimes when God's engaging with us, he's not trying to give us an answer. He's giving us an invitation to meet him in relationship concerning the answers. Sometimes it's when God gives us, when God gives us a prophecy, it's not always so we can sit down in a committee and think, how can we make this happen? Rather, that we can come to the Lord and in a way engage our hearts with hunger. There are times when God says something to us that I believe his impetus is to create a vacuum or a hunger within us that will say, Lord, I need you to fill that hunger. And having a question that you don't know the answer to is good. This is making sense, but it really does to me. Let me be careful saying this as well, but I guess I'm a Protestant, I think. I'm not really a protester, I'm a proclaimer, but I guess I'm a Protestant and evangelical. It's sort of my stream of Christianity. And yet the danger in being an evangelical is we try to find the answer to everything. And if we don't have an answer, we manufacture an answer and we have an explanation for everything. I've noticed, as somebody who lived in a Catholic country in France for 20 years and has many Catholic, true, born-again, spirit-filled Catholic friends, don't always agree with their doctrine, but they love Jesus like I do, many of them. I learned something from them, that sometimes where Protestants or evangelicals want questions and answers, I think Catholics are more at home with mystery. Let me say this, to the measure that you embrace mystery, to that measure will God accord you revelation. Let's say that one again. If you refuse to engage your heart in the tension of mystery, you won't catch the release of revelation. Does that make sense? To the measure, when we're not okay, when we get frustrated by not knowing something, it's that very frustration which will bring us into a place of relationship where we will pull upon the Lord. It's worth going back and listening to some of those things again. So in Matthew 16, I'll read the passage and we'll go back and make some comments on it. Verse 30, it says, Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, and he asked the disciples, saying, "Who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am?" They answered, "Some say John the Baptist, some Elijah, some Jeremiah, or one of the prophets." He said to them, "Who do you say that I am?" Peter answered and said, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Jesus answered and said to him, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. I will say to you that you are Peter. On this rock I will build my church. The gates of Hades will not prevail against it. I'll give you the keys of the kingdom. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven." Again, so much in this passage. But real quick, Jesus asked the disciples, he begins by asking them what I refer to as second-hand revelation. He says, "What do you know about me that you've heard from other people? Who do people tell you that I am? What's my reputation? What second-hand revelation do you have of me? What have you learned from me from others? John the Baptist, Elijah, Jeremiah, one of the prophets, this guy, that guy." And then Jesus says, who do you know me to? What do you say of me? And at that moment, something came down from heaven. Remember in lesson 4, a man can receive nothing except to be given. Something comes down from heaven, bypasses Peter's head, thankfully, and enters into his heart. And then Peter speaks and says, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And Jesus says, "Peter, you're blessed. Flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in heaven." Again, I want you to see that. Jesus says there's a revelation that we get from flesh and blood, and there's a revelation that comes from my Father in heaven. Jesus says there are things you can know about me in the marketplace, reading books, Christian TV, church, whatever, but there are things that come from my Father in heaven. And then Jesus straight away, and I think we often misread this, says, "Peter, you're blessed. On this rock I'll build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it." I want to suggest to you, my Catholic friends say that Peter is the rock on whom the church is built. The Protestants ride in and say, "No, he isn't. Jesus is the rock on which the church is built." And I think there's little pieces of truth in both of those. I want to suggest to you they're both wrong. I believe the rock on which the church is built is the rock of the revelation of Jesus. The church is built on the revelation of Jesus. Now, pause with me for a moment. Your life, you became a Christian, not because of Peter. You became a Christian because of Jesus, amen. But you became a Christian when you got a revelation of Jesus. When not just you heard it in the marketplace, but when God opened your eyes and showed you Jesus. That's true of you as an individual, but the whole church is built on the revelation of Jesus. Jesus says, "My ecclesia, my called out ones, will be built on this revelation of Jesus." And then he says the gates of Hades, the gates of hell, the armies of Satan, if you will not prevail against a church that's standing on the rock of revelation. Now again, I want you to think about that. I want to suggest to you that most of the problems we have in our Christian walk is we're not standing on the rock. We're sitting in the premises. We are standing on other things than revelation. When we're standing on something which is some general truth we've heard in the marketplace of ideas, the gates of hell can prevail against us. When we're truly standing on the rock of what God's revealed to us, the gates of hell will not prevail against us. I think there are times in our life, and I'm attaching no blame, shame, or condemnation to this, but there are times in the lives of people we know where somebody's tried, let's say, to believe God for healing and it didn't work. I want to suggest to you what usually, not always, but what usually going on is they have a good set of doctrines. They've read Christ the Healer by Bosworth. They've got good doctrine about healing, but it's not a revelation to me. Hey, thank you for watching this snippet from our course on receiving revelation. Hey, if you're interested in just receiving the entire course, all of the 16 videos, they also have audio downloads, the PDF notes from all of the teaching sessions, confessions, and much, much more. There will be a link below me. For the month of November in 2021, I'm offering this course at half price. Really great offer. So hit that link below and check that out. I know it would be a blessing to you. Bye for now.